Oh, now you decide to make noise. Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel and my old bedroom that my mom has now taken over and sucked all the personality out of. It now includes things such as feathers in glass. Why do you have feathers in glass, you may ask? So do I. A few weeks ago, me and my friend Sarah decided to take upon us the adventure of trying to watch one of the worst rated horror movies on Netflix. We came to the conclusion that yeah, it kind of deserves the title. In preparation for this video, I brought the beret with me to go home for the summer just so I could film this. So, I've now put the film critic beret on, and here is my breakdown of The Bye-Bye Man. We start off in Madison, Wisconsin, October 20th, 1969. Don't remember that date. Doesn't matter. It's not significant for the story whatsoever. That's a theme. A lot of the story, not important. This dude named Larry that, no joke, looks like a teacher I had once, pulls up and starts yelling to Jane because he wants to know if she told someone.
About the name.
Oh, yeah, I told Rick. He thought it was funny.
Larry does the only rational thing to do, which is go and get a shotgun. Because this scene is a one take, he has to stand still for a couple of seconds to get the rig ready. So he just kind of stands there, like 1, 2, then we shoot. Larry shoots Jane through the front door, and then he goes inside and starts yelling for a guy that 1 is right in front of him, 2 is right in front of him on the ground, crawling because he's in a wheelchair. He's not going anywhere particularly fast. I do not know why you're yelling for him. Apparently, Rick also told someone about the name. Conveniently, someone's outside. Does anyone want to take a guess at who it is? Larry stalks out and he starts chanting, "Don't think it, don't say it."
Don't say it. Don't think it. Don't say it.
Look, I'm no expert, but I did Google some things, and turns out if you are telling your brain not to think about it, your brain is spending a lot of energy trying to think about everything that it is told not to think about, but the thing that it is told not to think about still has to be thought about for it to remember what it is the thing that it's not supposed to think about. Also, your brain is always looking for that thing, so it's constantly having this thing that it's not supposed to think about in the back of the head of the brain. It's basically constantly looking for that one thing because it's like, where is that thing I'm not supposed to think about? Because when I see that I'm thinking about it, I know that I'm thinking about something I shouldn't think about. Basically, telling yourself not to think about something doesn't work. Cool, okay, moving on. Here comes the first train of the movie. I say first because there are several appearances of trains, none of them explained. Then we get introduced to our main characters, which aren't these 3 people in the front. It's actually the 3 in the back. This is Sasha. She has no personality except for the fact that she's there to be Elliot's girlfriend. This is Elliot. He's supposed to be the hero of the story, but he's really fucking annoying and up his own ass. And this is John, because they needed a token black guy. Cool, okay. Because this is a horror film, and no horror film is complete without some rundown house. The 3 of them have decided that they are going to move in together into an abandoned house that looks like it's about to fall down and crush them. On their first visit to the house, they get the key from underneath the doormat. That's fine. I'm not complaining about the doormat. What I am complaining about is the fact that there's snow and ice collected underneath the doormat. That's not how it usually works. Usually the snow and ice is on the top, isn't it? Why is the key covered in snow and ice? Sasha's first reaction to walking into the house is, this is creepy. If that's your first reaction, pack your bags and go. Even if the place isn't haunted, there's a huge fucking hole in the ceiling in the bedroom. This place is just not up to standards for people living there. Turns out all the furniture is in the basement. Why is it in the basement? Because the house needs a basement, and the movie needs a reason to show us that there's a creepy basement. They move in, and the house is shit.
Did you hear that banging?
Yeah.
You would think that there are things you check, you know, like if the water runs without the entire house banging. The Harry Styles knockoff announces that he's going to go brush his teeth, but not before asking, hey, what's on the bed? Subtle. On the bed is a love letter, but it does kind of look more like a ransom note, and it also contains some of the worst lines I have ever had to listen to with my own ears. And in my opinion, the letter is grounds for a breakup. Elliot also, for some unknown reason, felt the need to write certain words with a marker instead of going full out with the kidnapping aesthetic. He cut out individual letters to write out words such as modeling and bullshit, but he could not be bothered to find words like not and off. Sasha hears the sound of a coin dropping and decides to investigate, but she goes to investigate in the least likely place for a coin to be dropping, which is the fucking crawl space. Bedroom door slams shut and she starts yelling at Elliot because she thinks Elliot thinks he's funny. That was a lot of things in a very short sentence. Elliot comes out of the bathroom looking like she wasn't like calling for him, and he's like, whoa, what's up? I could excuse it with the fact that, you know, he's in the bathroom and the bathroom door was closed, except for the fact that the bathroom door is beads. He couldn't hear her through the beads. Here comes Virgil, Elliot's older brother, and we know it's his older brother because he straight up just says it.
Oh, little brother.
Nobody talks like that in real life. Why does no writer understand that? So his brother shows up with alcohol and his family, including his 5, maybe 6-year-old kid. A college party is in full works. The kid is now wandering around a bunch of drunk college hooligans, and none of them seem fazed that there's a kindergartner there. This 5-year-old is just like all other 5-year-olds, nosy little shits, and she decides that she's going to explore her uncle's bedroom. On the opposite side of this kid, there's a what I presume to be a dog, but the dog looks more like one of those fish. Is it anglerfish? Is that the word? Because that's what it looks like. And bless this child actor for probably being told to look surprised and making this face. There's no reason for her to look surprised. There's an empty crawl space. The dog is on the other side. She closes the door, and as she closes it, a coin drops. And instead of stealing it like she originally planned, she puts it back on the nightstand because her parents raised her right in the middle of the college parties. Sasha has made a friend, and Elliot decides that he doesn't like her, even though he's never spoken to her. And his argument is that girls who wear hats inside are crazy. I take personal offense. Elliot finds the coin and decides to put it back in the drawer, and it falls back out. So he decides to investigate. He sees that there's a piece of paper stuck to the bottom of the drawer that says, "Don't think it, don't say it." And then he lifts the paper and we get to see for the first time the name that installs fear in all of our hearts. The Bye Bye Man. Who the fuck let their 7-year-old kid name this terrifying monster? The Babadook is a better name than the Bye Bye Man. Crazy Hat Girl, aka Kim, decides to do a seance and cleanse the house with sage, and instead of just not being assholes about it and letting it be, Elliot and John decide to make fun of her for her being psychic.
So what? Your mom locked you under the stairs when you was a kid? Shoot knives at her?
So the first thing that Kim senses is that Elliot's parents died in an accident. It goes from 0 to 100 real quick. Once again, there's a movie where the parents are dead for no reason. You don't need to kill the parents. I want that on a shirt, I'll make merch of it. Then Sasha's grandma shows up and starts talking about biscuits. It went from 0 to 100 to like 0 again.
Or rolls or something.
Gams rolls?
Imagine your boyfriend's dead parents contacting him through a medium, and then your grandma shows up and starts talking about rolls. Read the room, grandma. This is not the time. Elliot still doesn't believe that Kim is psychic, so he goes to the kitchen and puts keys in a pot on the stove. Okay, if you're psychic, what did I hide and where? And then he proceeds to get very angry at her for replying with the right answer. And in the middle of that whole debacle, Slenderman 2.0 decides to join the party, and we get an Oscar-worthy performance from the actress playing Kim.
Don't say it, don't think it, don't say it, don't think it!
The bye-bye man blows out the candle, and that would have been a great ending to a terrible film, but there's still an hour left to go. In the middle of the night, Elliot wakes up. The bye-bye man is just chilling. Elliot also decides that he's going to investigate some noises. Didn't notice this the first time. The bye-bye man is just lurking in the background. Was that my fault for not paying attention, or was that the movie just being bad? Who knows, there's a 50-50 chance for both of those options to be the right one. Outside of the house is the sound of something that I can only assume is the sound of someone putting metal in a meat grinder. John drives Kim home. Do none of the college students in this city live in dorms? John then hallucinates that Kim has maggots in her hair, but he just doesn't mention the fact that she has maggots in her hair. You're also trying to tell me that this college student who lives in a broken down, dilapidated house with two of his friends drives a Mustang. On the outside of the house, Elliot sees claw marks on the wall, and he's like, I heard scratching. I still believe that my theory of metal in a meat grinder is more realistic than someone scratching on the outside of your house making that noise, but okay. John tries to blame it on the partygoers from the night before. What kind of friends do you all have that show up to your housewarming party and then vandalizes the house? John walks up to Sasha and just says, you're clean and beautiful, which is a very strange way to greet your friends, but also I will now only accept greetings where my friends tell me that I'm clean and beautiful. Sasha starts hallucinating naked John. Elliot for some reason just understands that she was thinking about John. He gets it into his head that she's cheating. And then we get a nonsensical shot of Elliot's reflection in a tea kettle. I hate this effect. It does nothing for the movie, and it's never used again. Never explained, doesn't make any sense. I hate it. Who let the editor get away with this? Elliot decides to investigate some more strange noises and ends up in the basement, where all strange noises lead. He finds some more claw marks. A coin drops. The bye-bye man, up until now, isn't really doing much for me, because the only thing he's doing is like letting his dog wander around and dropping coins everywhere. Elliot sees the angler dog doing its normal angler dog wandering, and he's like, oh man, oh boy, and then he falls as he's trying to get out of the basement. And then instead of discussing the pressing matter of the fact that, you know, there's a demon dog in your house, Elliot is back on his cheating bullshit. So he and John start fighting, and instead of showing us how this conflict is resolved, they just cut it out of the movie. But the fucking kettle shot was allowed to stay. Another nonsensical shot has joined the fucking chat. And this time it's the CGI team deciding to do this. I'm going to get tired of saying, this doesn't have to be in the movie. As I'm editing, I'm noticing another fucking train. This one isn't explained either. Bye-bye man drops his coin, comes storming out of Elliot's coat. Every time we have seen this fucker, he's either lurking or pointing at shit. My absolute favorite plot device for a movie to keep the audience informed.
You're gonna talk to the landlord about the furniture?
And the house.
The main characters just flat out telling us what they're going to do instead of just doing it. Elliot goes to the public library and uses a search engine named Search. I love the way movies try to make up their own social media and search engines. I'm strongly contemplating making a blog about it. I do, however, question why a college student would go to a public library to do this. Does he not have an internet connection at home? He does find something on search. He finds one thing and then he reads it out loud.
69, Redmond.
Sasha goes to talk to the landlord, who's named Mr. Daisy and owns a flower shop. If you were to cut this part out of the movie, Nothing would change for the plot, but it would have saved me a lot of brain cells that died in the process of watching it. John shows up late to his college class, so he apologizes and then immediately pulls out his phone to start scrolling through his own camera roll. John finds a video on his phone of the Bye Bye Man. Once again, there's a train and pointing involved. In the library setting, where Elliot is doing research about the Bye Bye Man, it would be natural to tell the audience the story about the Bye Bye Man. So we get the story about fucking Larry from the beginning. Turns out Larry was killing everyone that knew about the Bye Bye Man before drinking drain cleaner to kill himself. That's all we get from the library scene. Elliot checks his phone and loudly announces that, good, he has enough time. Then Elliot gets busy by trying to scroll out the Bye Bye Man's names from all of the documents. As he's doing that, the Bye Bye Man shows up and messes with the lights and progressively moves closer to Elliot and pulls his hood further down his face. You're not very threatening, are you? The librarian shows up and she's like, dude, you can't do that. That's library property. Suddenly, an hour has passed. Elliot's phone is almost out of battery, which an hour ago it was full, so I'm very concerned about what kind of shitty phone he has. Elliot shows up at Kim's house, which raises the question, how does he know where Kim lives? Because they're not friends. As they're driving, Elliot notices a bloody handle sticking out of Kim's bag. The two of them start to talk about how the Bye Bye Man makes you hallucinate things. And then Kim hallucinates a car crash. She just fucking forgets about the entire hallucinating thing. Doesn't listen to Elliot when he's like, no, that's not real. Then there's a continuation fuck up. So Kim gets hit by a train and then suddenly it's dark and there's like a million cop cars and ambulances. And Sasha and Elliot take this moment to start making out. Time and place, folks. John flirts with the cop. Sasha hallucinates the cop without eyes or a tongue. Sasha pukes. Elliot assaults a poor cop, and then Elliot is taken to the police station. Cop lady tells Elliot that Kim wrote a suicide note where she confessed to murdering her roommate. Instead of just taking that alibi, Elliot keeps talking. Elliot then compares him lying to the cops to the cop not telling her children about the mass murder scene she's seen at work. And with a please don't make me say it, Elliot is just free to go. Virgil, remember him? Me neither. Virgil comes and I guess bails Elliot out. Elliot is like, thanks, okay, I gotta go. And then Virgil is just sent to do whatever he does when he's not needed for the movie to have someone to keep the plot going. Elliot gets back home and he's moaning. He catches John and Sasha in bed together, and then he gets a baseball bat and tries to bash John's head in. For a guy who seems very aware that he can't trust anything and that he's like hallucinating half the things that he sees, he's quick to just trust everything he sees.
Hi, Miss Watkins.
Hi, Elliot.
I've been having some really
Strange thoughts about the
Bye Bye Man.
How did she get your number? Why are they talking like they are best friends? Then comes the most infuriating part of the movie. When Sasha went to talk to the landlord, they kept all the bullshit in and then they cut out the part that would have been, you know, relevant for the movie, where she gets the name and address of, like, Larry killed himself, his ex-wife. She talked to the landlord and got her name and address, but that's not a part of the movie. Elliot ties John up and shoves him in the basement, and then he goes upstairs to get the nightstand, and then Elliot proceeds to throw the nightstand down a small hill. That'll teach the Bye Bye Man a lesson. Have we learned nothing from anything? If you want things gone, you have to burn the bitch. And I just imagine some sad writer somewhere high-fiving himself, thinking he just came up with the joke of the century. When Elliot gets to the house, he starts creeping around and then just walks in the front door. You're in America. You can get shot for doing that. Then we get to hear the story about how the wife got home one day and how Larry had lost his absolute mind. So Elliot is like, okay, cool, thanks for the story time, Tana Mojo. What do I do? How do I do this? How do I beat him? And she's like, here's a gun, kill everyone and then kill yourself. That, my friend, makes you accessory to murder. You can't do that.
I also noticed that in one shot, she is holding the gun in her right hand, and in the next, she's just pointing. So I guess nobody picked up on the fact that one entire very important prop was just missing.
On his way home to save Sasha, mind you, he seems to be very worried about Sasha, not really paying attention to his lifelong best friend who's also in grave danger. What happened to bros before hoes? He starts beating the hallucinations by, you know, just fucking ignoring them. So he drives through an hallucination of John, turns fully around to stare out the back window, and in the process doesn't notice that the librarian is just standing in the middle of the road. Car rolls over, yada yada. Elliot crawls out, brings the gun with him. Why does he still have the gun? Foreshadowing! Sasha and John both start hallucinating. John thinks Sasha is Kim, and Sasha thinks John is Elliot, and they give stunning performances.
Come on.
Please.
John gets a pair of scissors and starts stabbing Sasha. Elliot runs in and yells, "No, talk to your best friend stabbing your girlfriend like a stern parent." Shoots him in the stomach, and then turns out it wasn't John, it was Sasha. Which should not make much of a difference because she was about to stab you. Then he proceeds to ignore his dying best friend. John is bleeding out, gargling next to him, and he's like, dude, give me a minute. The bye-bye man is back with his pointing. This time, he touches Elliot's forehead to make him see things. He seems to have been doing just fine, creating hands-free hallucinations up until now, but I guess the rules have changed. What's up with bringing this child to this house in the middle of the night? Go alone, you do not need to bring this 5-year-old with you. Elliot starts yelling at his brother and he's like, you guys need to leave. The little girl runs away because she has to pee. Elliot is yelling at Virgil that they need to leave. The bye-bye man doesn't seem to be able to do anything to anyone that doesn't know about him. What is the bye-bye man going to do? Lurk? Because that's all he has been doing up until now. And Elliot gets uncontrollable urges to say the bye-bye man's name. This has never happened earlier. Why is this suddenly a part of the movie? The CGI people, once again trying their best, trying to show how the dog is eating the eyes and tongue of Sasha and John. We get some strange X-Files meets Saw music playing as the bye-bye man descends the stairs as if he's a girl on her way to senior prom. To fix everything, Elliot shoots himself in the head. Everyone's dead and there's a train and a fire, but the fucking train. Virgil and the little girl are leaving the scene and she's sad, but at least she has the coins from the little table. Why is the bye-bye man moving furniture? What is this, Queer Eye? And then she's like, oh, and there was writing at the bottom of the drawer. That triggered the bitch, I fucking told you to burn that thing sensor in my brain, but it's okay because she can't read in the dark.
What do you think I am, a flashlight?
This kid seems aware that her uncle is dead, and this is when she decides to make a joke. Turns out John's not dead, and the cop lady is like, okay, he has to say something. And I mean, I guess he's supposed to say the bye-bye man's name, but I once again went to Google, and you can't really say the bye-bye man without a tongue. I'm guessing it was just Fortunately, that is the ending of the movie. Unfortunately, that ending sets us up for a sequel. If you now sit with the feeling of, well, at least Anette didn't spoil the background of the bye-bye man, at least I get to find that out for myself. The thing is, it's not that I'm not spoiling anything, it's that the movie just doesn't tell you. So unless you go to Google shit, you have no idea what the fuck is happening. Here are some helpful things that I find out later that would have been good for the movie to explain. Why the Bye-Bye Man looks like a shitty Voldemort. Apparently he's based on an albino homeless man. Why the fuck are there trains everywhere? The Bye-Bye Man apparently travels by train. What's up with the dog? Because the albino homeless man is going blind, he has made a dog out of eyes and tongues. That's why the dog eats the eyes and tongues of the Bye-Bye Man's victims. None of this is explained in the movie. Had to figure it out by myself. You're welcome. Don't think it, don't say it, don't watch it. Like this video if you liked it and leave me a comment because I need to know that I'm not alone. Subscribe to my channel for the chance to win a soggy stick of butter, and also because I watched this movie twice and so therefore I deserve it. Okay, I'll see you guys later.